It's not a girl thing, it's a skills thing.
Welcome to a new podcast of Women in Sport, where we bring you curated stories and learn together as we delve into the main debates in the field.
Here with you are your hosts, Sophie Timmerman and Tess Mostelis.
Today we talk about biathlon. Biathlon is a winter sport that combines cross-country skiing and rifle shooting. It's supposed to have its roots in survival skills practiced in Scandinavia, but today it's a sport which is very, very popular across Europe. And our guest today is Amanda Lightfoot, Britain's very best female biathlete.
So where are we reaching at the moment? I think you said you're in Slovakia.
Yeah, I'm in Slovakia in a place called Brezno, Ozebli. We travelled here yesterday.
So what are the snow conditions like?
There's not so much snow here at the moment, but they've got enough for the track, and I went on the track this morning, and it's quite fast, a little bit wet, so it will get slushy during the race tomorrow, which will slow everything down. But at the moment, it was very fast this morning, and yeah, I was quite excited going on the track. I felt good. We had like a 10-hour journey yesterday, though, from Slovenia, because we were at the World Championships. So we travelled over from World Championships to here, the next race in Slovakia, and yeah, I think it took us about 10 hours, but it was quite fun. Some singing along the way. So
how big is your team right now? So how many of you are traveling together?
We're not so big at the moment here. We've only got one male and one female. So it's myself and a guy called Vinny Fountain, who's on the male team. So we're both racing the sprint tomorrow. And then there's a pursuit, which is the top 60 in the world, get to race that. And we both should make that as well, for sure. We'll race that. And then we leave again on Monday for another 12-hour journey back.
Back to Slovenia?
No, even further, back to Italy.
A lot of traveling. It's really exciting. Do you like the traveling, or do you think, is that part of the biathlon lifestyle?
Yeah, I think you just get used to it. It's part of the lifestyle. I mean, I loved it when I was younger, when I first started. It was brilliant going to a different hotel every week and competing at a different venue. And then, like 12 years on, it's repetitive in a sense. I mean, I still do enjoy it, but then it's also nice to, go back and have your one place where you're like, oh, actually, I'm excited to go back to my bed. But I carry my pillow around everywhere as well, which is a bit crazy, but it gets vacuum packed every time I leave. Got a little suction pump, a vacuum pack it, and that goes in my suitcase, and it travels everywhere with me.
That's not odd at all. I do the same thing. I've been doing it for 2 years.
It's brilliant, isn't it? You sleep so much better with a vacuum pack pillow. And it's so easy with a vacuum pack. Like, I love that idea. I only actually thought about that last year. Before that, it was like under my arm.
It makes a difference, completely. How would you describe this sport to someone that has either never heard of it or, someone like me who has maybe watched it a couple times but doesn't really understand it very well?
I would say, oh God, it's thrilling, exciting. And if you know somebody who does it, it makes it a million times better to watch. 100%. Like that's it in a nutshell. I think once you get onto it and you realise I think it's understanding behind biathlon, exactly what we do, and once you understand the concept of it, and like the target's being 50 meters away, and the sights, there's no special sights, and you've got to do that with a heart rate of 180 beats per minute, and you get like 25 seconds to hit 5 targets at 50 meters away, the size of like an orange in prone position and a grapefruit in standing position, and every miss there's a penalty. So the race is always changing, and there's always a new winner every week. And it's never the same person always winning, which you get in a lot of other sports. There's a chance for everyone, and that's, I think, what makes it so exciting to watch.
I think I totally agree. Like, as a spectator, I mean, every race is just as of like he's starting from nothing again, because if you miss one shot, it can just like change the entire race. So I mean, that for me is always like my heart beats so fast just watching the sport. So I can only imagine what it's like standing there and shooting yourself and just racing.
No, it's crazy. Like one shot's like 1 or 2 seconds, and it completely changes the race. You can go from winning a race to 15th place if you miss one shot. It's like you drop 10 places instantly just with that little squeeze of the trigger, and it's completely changed, different race. But it can also be completely different to be in a plus race as well. You hit the targets. It's like, oh my God. I mean, sometimes the other day I was at the range and I hit all 5, and I like looked back and looked back again, checked, and I was like, oh my God, I did. Let's go. And you get excited as well because, I mean, you want to do it and you do it in training, you practice, but when it goes down in a race, it's different. And I think watching biathlon, you think, oh, we hit thousands of targets all summer. We, throw down thousands of rounds down the range, and you think, God, I mean, they do it so many times. Why can't they hit it in a race? But there's something about a race that there's just like a little minute detail where you think about something, or you're thinking about winning, or you're thinking about the wind, or you're thinking about someone else, or maybe you listen to the audience, or you listen to the spectator, and that's it. Completely. Then you miss a target and you're like, God damn it, why did I do that? And then you're thinking about it on the penalty loop.
Yeah, take us back to how you fell in love with the sport.
Oh, God. So I joined the army at 16. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. My brother was in the army, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do that too. And he was like, no, you can't. And I was like, yes, I can. Watch me. So I went down and signed up the next day, begged my parents to sign the papers because you need them to sign as well if you're under 18. My dad was totally adamant I wasn't going to join. My mum was like, let her go. It might be good for her. So it took me 2 weeks to get my dad to sign the papers. So after that, I was sent down, posted out to Germany. And I'd done 2.5 years in Germany, went and did a tour of Iraq for 6 months. And then when I came back from Iraq, they were looking for fit females in the regiment to join the army Nordic ski team. And I was like, ooh, skiing. Never been on snow, never skied in my life. That sounds cool. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And they were like, right, okay, we go away in November and, we'll go skiing. So I was like, yes. So I was telling everyone, yeah, I'm going downhill skiing. It's going to be awesome. I've seen it on TV a few times. Fast forward to November, I find myself on the slopes in Norway, and they start pulling out these skis and being like, yeah, you ski uphill, chuck that rifle on your back. And I was like, what is this? So that's kind of how it began. And then I obviously quickly learned that I wasn't going downhilling. I was skiing uphills with a rifle attached to my back, and I had to also hit targets while trying to breathe. So yeah, that's how it began.
And here we are 12 years later, I guess, right?
Crazy, 12 years later, 2 Olympic Games, and I'm still going. But you get a passion for it, I think, and as a novice as well, I mean, there's so many face plants and so many snowplows, and but I quickly learned to love it, and it became a challenge. And I think I love a challenge. I think that's part of my personality. And every day, I wanted to get better and, try and improve, and, maybe 1,000 face plants later and some twisted ankles and covered in snow. I started to being able to ski, let's say, and I went to the British Championships. I raced at the British Championships with these poles that I literally just put into my arms because I couldn't coordinate the poles and the arms and the legs. So I just raced with my legs, and ended up being British novice champion, and I won all my races. So from there, I got selected to join the team, where they teach you how to, the basics of biathlon, the fundamentals, how to get better. And we go up to Scotland and we train there. And then at the end of the season, you'll come and compete against the Great Britain's finest and, the ex-Olympians or the Olympians of that time and the females. And you compete against all them and try and get a spot on the team. And I made it within 1 year from novice. So pretty cool.
Very cool.
So you came into biathlon later than usual, but what other sports were you into growing up?
Honestly, none. No, I really wasn't. No, I really wasn't. So, I think that's what makes my story so unique. I tell a lie a little bit, actually. I liked a bit of rollerblading. When I was younger, I had a pair of rollerblades. So I did used to rollerblade around the streets and rollerblade into the house, chuck my dinner down and rollerblade back out of the house. And that was, my mum always laughed about me about that. But I was never really into any sports and never really interested in watching any sport. My mum and my brother and my dad would always watch football, but I was never interested in it, really. So I can't really say I was, a natural born athlete in a sense. When I joined the army, we have to run 1.5 miles to get into the army in under, I think it was 14 minutes back in that time. And my brother was like, come on, you need to start running. And I was like, no, I'll be fine. And he was like, no, you need to start running if you want to get in. So I left the house one day with him, ran to the top of the street, put my hands on my knees, and I was like, I can't do this. I was like, he was like, you're never going to get in. I was like, I will, but not today. Let's go back and have dinner. And then, honestly, and then a few days later, I tried again. I got as far as the beachfront, which is about 10 minutes from where I used to live. And I remember stopping again, and he was going, Amanda, come on, you need to move. You can't just stop every 100 meters. I was like, this is so hard. I thought 1.5 miles would be quite quick and easy. So I have to thank him really, probably for the inspiration of getting me in the army and also getting me past these tests. Because, I think it was 6 weeks on or something, or 12 weeks on, I went to the selection phase and I passed the test and got in. I was like, whoa, okay, that was harder than I thought it was, but
It's because now, I mean, what's your daily schedule like? I mean, what time do you get up? How many hours of training do you do?
Oh, I'm a completely changed person. Like now it's all about eating healthy and the athletic lifestyle. I mean, I get up. It varies from day to day. Especially in the winter now, it's quite sort of. I would say you got a lot more freedom. So depending on when your race is, you sort of work back from there. You get out of bed, you do your mobility, or maybe do a little run in the morning. Wake up the body, have your breakfast, time your lunch like 3.5 hours before your race start, and then you're going and prepping for the race. So you're on the snow like 2.5 hours before your race. And it's like that sort of repetitively every weekend from November until the end of March. And whereas the summer is, I would say, where you really build the athlete. In the summer, you do like 7 different sports. Like I become sort of pretty good in like 7 different sports, I would say, because you're running, you're roller skiing, then you've got the classic skiing, you've got the shooting, you've got the biking, the hiking, the mountain running. I mean, there's 7 already. I mean, I could probably go on, but we train the gym strength as well. But we train in all these sports to become a biathlete in the winter. So during the summer, I'm training about 5 hours a day, between 4 and 5 hours every day, 6 days a week, with a rest day in there somewhere.
Incredible. I think we all want your fitness, I think.
You can get it. You just need to start. Like I never had that. I wasn't born with this, definitely. It just takes a lot of time, let's say.
So let's talk about biathlon in the UK, because it's not a big sport. And I think especially if you compare your own way of becoming a biathlete, which was at 19, professionally, whereas others start when they're 6, 8, 10, 12, right? There's this huge gap. So how do you, within your team and just yourself, are trying to make the sport more popular and just more known throughout the country?
I think now we have a really good system that's starting. We've got a development team now that we've brought up. It is predominantly army athletes as well that have been released, to fulfill their dreams and make the GB team. So we've got them, and they're based out in Austria at the moment. So there is a bigger team around at the moment. It's just the people who are racing here. It's just myself and Vinny, because it all goes on qualifications. But we have a development team over in Austria I think there's about 7 or 8 of them over there at the moment. All like a lot of juniors as well. So, young 17 to 23-year-olds. And then we have some camps back in the UK. And they're actually the new BBU now. There's a woman in charge called Elizabeth Winfield. And she is like so positive and so proactive. And she's really getting things done. And she's, reaching out and, trying to really get the biathlon out there. And they're planning camps in the UK for next summer, all over in the south, the north, Scotland also, to get more people involved. And they're planning on doing school visits and getting, the younger generation involved so we can, really build them up to become the next Olympians. So I think the foundations and that they're building now is really good and really positive for the future. And I think something, is going to come really good in a few years for Team GB, for sure, in biathlon. For sure there will be.
That's fantastic. One thing that I wonder is, biathlon does require access to ski slopes, gear. Does it represent a high entry cost in the sport?
Yeah, definitely. You definitely need some support either from sponsors or, your family if you're young. I'm quite lucky because I'm in the army, so I do get some support from them, which is fantastic. And I think that's the only way I'd be able to do this sport, because they pay me my wage, and then I put all my wage into the sport to compete. I mean, skis are around 350 a set, and you need at least 6 sets of skis each winter season. And then the roller skis are about 200 to 300, poles are a couple of hundred, your boots are 300. Yeah, it adds up. It is quite a bit of money, but you can do it at a lower level, quite cheap as well. There's always secondhand roller skis and secondhand boots, and you can get into the sport. It's just obviously when you start to move up, then you need to start looking at sponsors and getting people to come on the journey with you, so you can compete with the rest of the world and be able to have what they have. So you're on a level playing field in a sense. But when you're starting, I don't think you need so much money. You just need a bit of determination and a bit of will to want to do the sport, and you can do it at a fairly cheap cost to begin with. And the ski clubs in the UK, I think there will be they'll have roller skis and boots that people can rent and actually come and try it. And that's what the plan is for next summer as well with the camps. They're going to have a sort of pot of equipment that people can come along, try, see if they like it, do it for a few weeks, and then they can go away and be like, Mom, Dad, I really like this. Can I have this for my birthday or Christmas or, and then, and try and go from there. So I think that'll be quite positive, definitely.
Do you have any special mentor when you were starting out, or someone that you really looked up to?
Oh God, yeah. I always looked at Wolfgang Pickler, and he was the coach for the Swedish team for many years. He went to the Russian team, and we'd always say hello, and he always knew who I was, and I knew who he was, and I always used to think, God, it would be amazing to be trained by this guy. And lo and behold, after my Olympics in 2014, and going into the next summer, I didn't know what I was going to do. We'd lost the coach for the GB team, and I was a bit of at a loss. So I sort of travelled around trying to find myself a new coach. And I was in Ruhpolding, and I was supposed to have a meeting with my old coach. And I bumped into him in a coffee shop, and he was like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a bit stressed. I'm trying to work out what I'm doing for next summer." And he just said to me, "Don't worry." And I was like, "Oh, easy for you to say, you know." And I'll never forget that conversation. But then, like, literally, I think it was like 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from from a federation saying, Wolfgang Pickler wants to train you. And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, but you need to ring him and figure out what you're doing. But, you know, we've come to an agreement." And I was like, "Wow, okay." So I literally rung him on the phone, and I was like so nervous. And he was like, "Yeah, I can, but you must come to Germany now." And I was like, "What? Okay, when?" He was like, "As soon as possible." And I was in Norway at this point. So I was like, holy moly, I've just moved to Norway, settled in my apartment. So like literally 2 days later, I packed up my whole car and drove back to Germany to be trained by this legend. And I trained under him for 4 years until the 2018 Pyeongchang Olympics. And he absolutely transformed me into this absolute machine. I mean, he is the hardest, toughest, most mentally challenging coach I've ever had through my entire career. But he really changed me as an athlete and turned him into a monster. So I think, like, looking up to him and then actually having him as my mentor was brilliant. Yeah, such a great part of my biathlon career for sure. You might have heard of him, Sophie.
Yeah, of course. Wolfgang Pichler is a legend. And it's interesting to see like how the coaches as well, like so former athletes become coaches, but they also go to train other nations as well, right? So like there's this German guy who's running the Swedish team now. I think Johannes Lucas he's called. And then, you know, they're just like changing so much. And I think it's great to see that this is really a community. It's just about like, you know, supporting each other.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing about I learned training with the Swedes where they're like a massive family. Like I was accepted into this family and they're just so together for each other and they just push each other up. And I think that's what makes them so special as a team against all the other teams in the world. They just want to help each other all the time. They're always so excited for each other when they each win. And it's never just a medal for one person. It's a medal for the whole team. And they've really created this beautiful atmosphere that's just amazing. And I think that's what drives them so well.
And I saw on your, I think, Twitter, you said you're looking for sponsors right now to go to the Olympics. Tell us a bit about that and like your journey towards Beijing. Like, where are you at right now? How much training are you putting into this?
So right now we're in the last year. It's literally just marked the last year. There's a vlog actually on my Twitter, Instagram that everyone needs to see. It's so cool. It's my first vlog. And it'll be one of 5 that I'll be doing with Team GB in the lead up to Beijing. So you get to see, you know, the different parts in the build up to Beijing and behind the scenes. And so I've still got a lot of races between now and the selection for the Olympics. You don't actually get told until, for me, it's usually the week before I travel out to the Olympics because it all depends on the last races to the last minute against the rest of the nations where you lay. So yeah, there's a bit of a time, a lot more training. But I am exactly where I want to be right now. And I mean, COVID took a few months away from me at the beginning of this winter, which was a bit of a strain on my training. And I really felt at the beginning of the season that I wasn't where I needed to be. And I'm only just starting to sort of really feel fast on the skis and, you know, really belong in the races, let's say. In my mind as well, I think it took a little bit out. So, yeah, I think by next year I'll be where I want to be. And there's going to be loads of more videos and stuff on social media. So definitely like follow me on my journey. And if anyone does out there wants to help or be a sponsor or come on that journey with me, then do get in contact. It'll be great.
And was it like within the Team GB, you talk a lot with the other colleagues or maybe ski racers? What's sort of the communication channel?
We have like a group actually on Facebook with a lot of the athletes that talk between themselves and giving ideas and things towards the next Olympic Games. A lot of it is via social media now, obviously with COVID, so there's no meeting up But for me, like I think I'm sort of quite isolated in that sense because I do the majority of my training in Europe because there's nowhere really for me to train at that level within the UK. But, you know, a lot of it's social media messages and speaking to other athletes and seeing how they're getting along. But there is a really nice family with Team GB. And I really like that. So when it does come to the Olympic Games, it feels like you've known these people all your life and it's such a nice family and everyone's just wanting to help each other and hang out with each other. And, you know, you can just sit down and have a brew and it's like you've known them for ages. It's crazy.
So you were getting ready for the Beijing Olympics in 2022. And I think you mentioned sometime in one of your blogs that these would be your final Olympic Games. When have you decided that this is it, or have you even?
Well, God, that's a hard question to answer because it's kind of, I've been doing this for so long now, and I guess you start to feel, you know, that you're coming to the end, and you know you need to stop at some point. Of course, you can't continue this forever, and there's another life waiting for me beyond biathlon. But you know, the army have been so good to me to let me continue doing this and follow my dream, Olympics after Olympics. That, you know, I can't ask them for another 4 years. Like, as much as I'd love to continue and do the sport as well, it would be great. I think it's time to, you know, to give something back to them as well. And I'd love to be on the recruitment side of the army and bringing more people into the army and being like, you know, look what you can do. Like, look at the opportunities the army has given me and the drive, and they've completely changed me as a person as well. And I want to give something back as well. And I would love to be involved in the sports still as well, but I also want to give something back to the recruitment side of the army if I can get into that line of work post next year. But yeah, it'll be the end. God, don't say that. Even though I know it's true, it's just weird when people say it, and I think it'll be a massive like shock but I'm trying to sort of gradually, you know, bring myself, you know, that, because you do have to stop at some point. God, I mean, when I first started, and I did after my, I think, lead up to the first Olympic Games, when I decided, okay, I'm going to the Olympic Games, and I got there, and I thought I was going to stop after that, but then I just wanted to go again another 4 years. I was like, okay, 4 more years, even more training, more determination. I'm going to better my results and go another 4 years. And now 4 years later, I was like, nah, I love this. I want to go again. We can do it a third time, and hopefully, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's. You've got to stop at some point, don't you? I mean, I'm not getting any younger, and people are coming in, and yeah, and there'll be another life beyond it. So I'm just sort of getting myself towards that path, and I'll think about it probably post Olympics when I've got a few weeks, you know, and then yeah.
Have you noticed big difference in terms of how much sponsorship do athletes from countries where maybe biathlon is more popular than from the UK?
Oh, of course, yeah. Of course there's going to be a massive difference. I mean, if I was a footballer, I'd be a millionaire, wouldn't I? And, you know, one of the more common sports in the UK. But being a biathlete, you know, there's not many British people who actually know about this sport. You know, it's getting bigger and there's more and more people getting interested, more and more people watching it. But I don't think people understand the whole context and the story behind the sport for the athletes that we've got. So maybe they expect a bit more. When you're not producing medals, they don't look at the list and go, oh, she came top 30 out of 140. It's like, oh, she came top 30. You know, she didn't win. And it's, you know, when you compare that to other sports, I mean, I think I mentioned this in my vlog as well, like when you compare it to other sports, maybe there's only 10 competitors in, you know, like maybe 2-man bobsleigh or, you know, the athletics, you know, the 100 meters, you know, 9, I don't know exactly. I'm not a big sports fan, obviously, as you can tell. I love biathlon, but I know there's not so many competitors in a lot of different sports. And with us, we're racing against 100 female athletes in every race, 80 to 140. So in comparison, you've got to be like on top form and hit all of them targets to get a field to be at the top. And when when I do make it, it will be amazing because you're not just beating, you know, 6 or 10 people, you're beating 130 athletes from all over the world. So I think it's such a big honor in biathlon when you do win something like one of the races. Yeah, it varies definitely. And I think it goes hand in hand with the sport as well. And the support in the different nations, for example, that's more popular in Norway, France, Germany. You know, when we go to these competitions, they've got these big, massive wax trucks. They've got like wax teams of 12 waxers, and each athlete's got their own wax man with their same weight to test their skis. They have grinding machines, and they've got sponsors like left, right, and centre. And you know, you go there and you're like, oh my god, we're so small. But you've got to chuck that away and be like, you know, actually, I can compete with these. And, you know, on the race day, when you do beat these bigger nations, it just makes you more proud because you're like, I'm doing this with 6 skis and 1-man band who's doing the coaching, the zeroing, the waxing, the running around, the feeding on the track, the adjustments, you know. So it just makes it that bit more special. being from Great Britain for sure. And there were some more smaller nations like me as well.
Yeah, it's always great when you watch and you see like those individual athletes who obviously compete for the smaller nations, like South Korea the other time when you were racing as well, and NGP, and you're just as a spectator so thrilled about them being part of it. So I think, everyone is as happy as you are competing and just watching you as well.
No, it's true. Yeah, I mean, there was an Australian guy, Campbell Wright, and he's a junior still. And there was a competition a few weeks ago in Arbor, and he came 5th. And it was like, he got flowers, and it was just like so amazing to just see a small nation up there with the rest. And I'm like, God, you beast, like, go on. And you get excited for them as well, because it's someone different who doesn't have the support, and this guy had like, I think 4 skis or something to his name. And I think after that, I think there was a sponsor that wanted to give him a few more skis. They wanted to give him 3 skis. And he was like, I don't need that many, like, trying to give them away. And it's just, it's a total different spectrum from someone at the top who maybe have like 40 skis to test on a race ski, compared to the small nation who's got like between 4 and 6. And they're just a lot more humble as well. It's so nice to see, like they're really, it's really nice, nice feeling.
Yeah, you mentioned a very interesting point, because obviously it's sometimes hard to juggle, this professional career as an athlete, right, with the wages and the sponsoring. So a lot of what athletes do is like join the army or work as a police force. Do you know anyone else who does something different than that? Or like, what are the tangible ways of being an athlete and like sustain yourself?
I think a lot of people are in the forces or the border controls, especially like Italy and French and some of the other nations. And I know like the Canadians, like one of the Canadians, she works in a coffee shop all summer just to get enough money to compete in the winter. And I find that so like inspiring, like hats off to people who can, train and work all day and then make the winter season and create results. I think it's fantastic. But there's a lot of, and then there's some people who just be able to do full time, and they're helped by their sponsors or by their parents. So I think there's a variety out there of what people are doing in order to keep maintaining their sport and career.
Now, one question obviously we as Germans and Spaniards want to ask you is about Brexit, and to what extent has Brexit changed your life as a biathlete?
At the moment, it hasn't done so much. And I know I need to look into next summer about how many days I can stay in Europe for and when that will come into effect. I mean, I've had a brief look at it at the moment, and maybe getting a temporary, a temporary visa in a sense, through the time where I'll stay in Germany training. But I am not worrying it so much yet, because it hasn't affected me so much, because I'm kind of in this bubble of the IBU at the moment, just racing, training. So I'll think about it more towards the end of March when I go back from my downtime and see my family and stuff, and we'll plan then. But I don't really see any big effects towards me just yet. I mean, apart from maybe have to get some visas and stuff next year to compete in certain countries, but they're just simple little things, simple tasks. No problem. I'm not so worried.
Now we're asking you for a pitch to the next and future Amanda Lightfoots out there. Why should they think about becoming a biathlete, and what would you tell them?
Oh, God. So, to the next Amanda Lightfoot. I think if you really want to make it and you want to make the World Championships and the Olympic Games, then you need to commit yourself. You need to commit yourself to biathlon and really believe in yourself, because it doesn't matter what the other nations have and how much support the other nations have and how many, different things. You've got to cut all that away and just focus on yourself and where you want to be. And I think if you really believe it, then you can get there. As cliche as it sounds, I was going to say you can achieve it, but that's a bit cliche. But if you do believe it and you do believe in yourself, you can make your dreams come true. And I'm living proof. So to the next Amanda Lightfoot, go for it.
We're so happy you could join us today in Woman in Sport. I, Tess Mostelis, and my co-host Sophie Timmerman hope to continue to bring you exciting new topics.
If you want to join us on this journey, make sure to follow us. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Music.
And if you like the show and want to support us, you can become our Patreon on patreon.com/Woman in Sport Podcast. See you next time.